a permanence of A, which is permanent, and it does not have a light fastness information. Weirdly, on the Cotman Winsor and Newton link, this has a different pigment information. So I didn't feel like it will be accurate because this one is PR179 and on there it was a different pigment number. It was PR2 something. So it did have some information on there, but it might not be the same pigment. So I didn't share the other information on there. Okay, again, this also has a very good creamy, more stable consistency. It wasn't watery. As you can see, it's not settling on the pan. It's holding its shape while coming out of the tube. I mean, just a bit. But yeah, it had a better ratio of pigment and whatever binder they used or fillers. I'm not sure how much they used of fillers on these, but like I said, these all the paints I found that they were very vibrant. Yeah, so this one was really good. I was inside like really happy when I was pouring this out because ooh, this paint is not gonna cave in too much. So that is Alizarin Crimson Hue. Okay, the next color is Permanent Rose. Color code is 502. It has a single pigment of PV19, PV19. Okay, so PV19 is quinacridone violet. I think Purple Lake has the same pigment, which I will not be showing you. I don't know why I'm getting ahead of myself. This one has a permanence of A, which is permanent, and then a light fastness of 2. I believe that this is the first pigment that has a light fastness of 2. Permanent Rose is transparent and also it is staining. The consistency is really good as well. It is not watery at all. It has this very nice cream consistency. As you can see, it is not settling on the pan. And it was holding its shape while I was pouring it. A lot of artists, when you ask them which paint to start with, A lot of them suggest Cotman, but I didn't jump the bandwagon because I was disappointed with the China version of Winsor Newton. Okay, this is Purple Lake. I will not be showing you how it's poured because I already have this. Like I said earlier, I did have a couple of Cotman paints, and one of them was Purple Lake that I got like years ago. Okay, so I will skip this one for now. Okay, next is Dioxazine Purple. Color code is 231. The pigment is PV23, which is Dioxazine Purple. Okay, it is permanent, does not have a light fastness information, but this one is transparent and it is staining. Okay, I think they didn't want to change the name because Dioxazine Purple isn't that difficult to say. Like, but not with, what was it? Diarylide yellow. Oh, that was a hue, I'm sorry. So they just used the name and not just say, oh, this is deep purple. They just used Dioxazine Purple. Out of the set, this is the cooler toned purple, because Purple Lake, I feel like that is the warm purple that is a little reddish. This had a very a nice consistency as well. It held up the shape while I was pouring it down the pan. And also this was really, really dark. Like it looked almost like black. And I find that very satisfying with my paints, that the darker it is, the more pure pigment they used. At least that's just what I think. And I learned that from Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter. I love her videos. I love watching her swatching videos. And I love her reviews on the paints, because you also learn some things in between. So again, this one had a very good consistency. I think the reason some brands doesn't use the real name because they sound like medicine. I mean dioxazine. Okay, so that is Dioxazine Purple. Okay, so next up is Ultramarine. Color code 660. And pigment is PB29, of course. The permanence is A, which is permanent, and it has a light fastness of 1. This ultramarine is transparent, and it is the only paint in the set that has granulation. Ultramarine is like the most regular in a paint set, I believe. Like almost all classic or regular paint sets will have an ultramarine, because ultramarine is one of those colors that it is great for mixing. But personally, I do not use this alone. Mostly with skies, but not all the time anyway, because because of the granulation, there is a lot of movement with this paint. The consistency of the Cotman Ultramarine is really good. It has that thick, creamy consistency. So I know that this will be a good paint to paint with. You can mix like a good green with ultramarine and a yellow. I'm not sure if it's a warm, since this is ultramarine is a warm blue, because it leans to have that violet or purplish undertone. So you will mix a warm yellow to get a good green, I think. I mean, I believe so. I don't usually mix my own greens because I do have a lot of palette and they already have greens with them. So I use those. But I think all should mix their own paints to get they say that it is more cohesive to mix the paints, and I think I believe that. I haven't used it that much, that practice, but yeah, I think we should all learn how to mix our colors from primaries. Okay, so that's Ultramarine by Cotman. A must-have paint. Okay, so that is 10 paints, except for Purple Lake. So we're halfway done. This is Prussian Blue. Color code is 538. Pigment is PB27, which is Prussian Blue. It is permanent and has a light fastness of 1. This one is transparent as well. I don't know. I think I have not mentioned this. What is the difference between permanence and light fastness? I did try to read up on those paint information. From what I gather, from what I've been watching and also reading sometimes on Google, is that light fastness is how a paint lasts, the longevity of the paint on paper, especially when it is out on the open, when it is hit by direct sunlight. Permanence is how the paint lasts with the binders. I don't know if it's something with the chemical, how it holds together the paint along with the paper as well. I'm not sure entirely what it means, but it is about how the paint lasts on paper and how it retains its color on paper. That's why they say that sometimes when a paint is fugitive, Prussian Blue is one of those paints that they say is fugitive, like it changes colors. But this one, I don't know what magic it is. On direct sunlight, it will change the color, but once you place it again on a shaded part of the room, it will retain back its color. Like I think it's magic.